3 consecutive championships, a 15-1 playoff record, the last dynasty to achieve a three-peat in over 2 decades. Yet somehow, the Shaq and Kobe era remains one of the most debated partnerships in NBA history. Were they actually more dominant than Jordan and Pippen? Did their dysfunction cost them 2 more rings? Let's break down what made this duo simultaneously unstoppable and unsustainable. Summer of 1996 changed everything for the Lakers. They signed a 24-year-old Shaquille O'Neal to the richest contract in NBA history and drafted a 17-year-old high schooler named Kobe Bryant. Nobody predicted what was coming. The Lakers front office saw potential, sure, but a dynasty? That seemed far-fetched. Shaq had just been swept out of the playoffs in Orlando, and Kobe was the 6th player ever to skip college entirely. The pieces were there, scattered across the floor like a puzzle nobody knew how to solve yet. The early years were rough. Both players were talented beyond measure, but the Lakers couldn't crack the playoff code. They made the postseason every year from 1997 to 1999, only to get embarrassed repeatedly. Swept by Utah, swept by San Antonio.
Matchup for you, San Antonio will take on the Los Angeles Lakers, and for the 2nd year in a row.
These weren't close series either. The Lakers looked lost, like 2 superstars playing completely different games on the same court. Shaq dominated inside with brute force that literally broke backboards, while young Kobe tried to prove himself by taking contested fadeaways. The chemistry wasn't there. The trust wasn't there. Most importantly, the winning wasn't there. Then Phil Jackson walked through the door in 1999 and everything shifted. Jackson didn't just bring his 6 championship rings from Chicago. He brought the triangle offense, Zen philosophy, and an uncanny ability to manage massive egos. More critically, he brought structure to chaos. The 1999 to 2000 season became the laboratory where Jackson transformed 2 individual stars into a cohesive wrecking ball. Shaq entered training camp in the best shape of his career, nearly winning Most Valuable Player unanimously with 120 of 121 first-place votes. Meanwhile, Kobe evolved from a promising youngster into a legitimate all-star and first-team all-defense selection. That season, the Lakers finished 67-15. Not good. Historic. The 5th best record in NBA history at that point. But regular season success meant nothing after 3 straight playoff disasters. Could they finally break through when it mattered? The Western Conference playoffs tested them immediately. Against Sacramento in the first round, they handled business in 5 games. Portland came next, and despite the Trailblazers' talent, LA dispatched them in 7. Then Phoenix fell in 5. The finals brought the Indiana Pacers, led by Reggie Miller, and a scrappy defensive identity.
Just spoke with Kobe. He said that he's feeling fine, a little bit stiff, but I did notice during the warm-ups and the layup line, he did not shoot any layups. I asked him about that. He said, well, I did that on purpose because I'm saving it for the game.
Game 1 went to overtime with the Lakers stealing a road victory. They dropped Game 2, suddenly facing real adversity. That's when you saw what made this duo special. Game 3 became pivotal, and Jalen Rose deliberately slid his foot under Kobe's landing space, twisting his ankle. Bryant missed Game 4, which Indiana won easily. Everyone expected the series to swing toward the Pacers. Kobe had other plans.
He says this game tonight is not about offense. He told his team it's about defense. He said, let's go out, be a great defensive team, and go home with the win. One little update on Kobe Bryant. He told me today was the first day that he's been able to walk with no pain in that ankle.
He returned for Game 5 on a severely sprained ankle, hobbling around like he'd just gotten out of a car accident. Didn't matter. When Shaq fouled out with 5 minutes remaining, 21-year-old Kobe took over and willed the Lakers to victory. They closed out the series in Game 6, and Shaq averaged 38 points and 16.7 rebounds in the finals. After 12 years without a championship, the Lakers were finally on top again. The monkey was off their backs. The The question became, was this the beginning or just a one-time achievement? The answer came swiftly. The 2000 to 2001 season transformed from successful to legendary. Here's where the dominance discussion gets interesting. Both Shaq and Kobe finished in the top 5 for scoring during the regular season. Shaq averaged 28.7 points per game. Kobe averaged 28.5. They became the first true two-headed monster the league had seen in decades. You couldn't double team one without leaving the other in a favorable matchup. Double Shaq in the post? Kobe's draining contested threes. Collapse on Kobe's drives? Shaq's catching lobs and destroying rims. The offensive synergy was suffocating for opponents. Their defensive impact gets overlooked in these conversations, but both made the all-defensive second team that year. The Lakers didn't just outscore teams, they locked them down, created turnovers, and pushed pace when it suited them. This wasn't one-dimensional dominance, this was complete basketball mastery. Then the playoffs arrived, and the duo reached a level few partnerships have ever touched. The Lakers entered the postseason with a 56-26 record, solid but not overwhelming. What happened next was systematic destruction of the Western Conference's best teams. They swept the entire Western Conference, destroying Portland, Sacramento, and San Antonio in 4. That's 11 straight wins against teams that won 50, 55, and 58 games respectively during the regular season. These weren't weak opponents getting lucky with playoff berths. These were elite squads with championship-caliber players, all getting demolished. The statistical output during this run was absurd. Shaq averaged over 30 points and 9 rebounds throughout the postseason. Kobe put up 29.4 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 6.1 assists. During the sweep rounds, they traded off who carried the offensive load on any given night. Shaq led the team in scoring 8 times during the playoff run, including 3 40-point explosions. Kobe led the team in scoring 8 times as well, dropping 48 points in one game and consistently scoring over 30 when needed most. Then they reached the finals against Philadelphia, and everyone expected another sweep. Allen Iverson had other ideas. Game 1 went to overtime in Los Angeles, and AI dropped 48 points, stepping over Tyronn Lue in the process. The Sixers stole home court advantage, and for the first time all playoffs, the Lakers looked vulnerable. That loss represented the only blemish on what became a 15-1 postseason record. Still the best playoff performance in NBA history until Golden State's 16-1 run in 2017. How did the Lakers respond? By winning the next 4 games and never trailing in any of them. Shaq recorded 33 points, 15.8 rebounds, and 3.4 blocks per game in the finals, earning his 2nd straight finals most valuable player. The 2001 championship wasn't just dominant, it was a statement that this duo had reached a level of basketball excellence that seemed untouchable. But here's where the story gets complicated. Even during this peak dominance, cracks were forming beneath the surface. Shaq spent the summer after the first championship partying instead of training. Kobe spent it in the gym, obsessing over his craft. When training camp opened for the 2001 to 2002 season, Shaq showed up overweight and out of shape. Kobe was furious. Their relationship, already strained by competing egos, began deteriorating. The media started picking up on tension between them. Subtle comments turned into public jabs. Yet somehow, they still had one more championship run left in them. The question nobody could answer was simple. Just how dominant could they have been if they actually liked each other? The 2002 season answered that question with a resounding, "We'll never know." Because despite everything falling apart behind the scenes, they somehow won again. The Lakers finished 58-24, and both Shaq and Kobe made the All-NBA first team together for the first time. Shaq averaged 27 points and 11 rebounds. Kobe put up 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. They weren't quite as dominant as 2001, but they were still the best duo in basketball. The playoffs brought a different challenge. No sweeps this time. The Spurs pushed them to 5 games in the second round. Then came the Western Conference Finals against Sacramento, and this series nearly ended everything. The Kings were the best team in the league that season. Chris Webber, Peja Stojakovic, Mike Bibby, and Vlade Divac formed a cohesive unit that played beautiful basketball. They had home court advantage, and after 5 games, Sacramento led 3-2. The Lakers were 1 loss away from watching their dynasty crumble. Game 6 in Sacramento became one of the most controversial games in NBA history. The officiating was so one-sided that conspiracy theories still circulate today. The Lakers shot 27 free throws in the fourth quarter alone. Sacramento fans will never forgive what happened that night, but the Lakers forced Game 7 and went on to the NBA Finals. Shaq and Kobe combined for 64 points, and the Kings' magical season ended in heartbreak. The finals against New Jersey felt anticlimactic. The Nets were overmatched from the start. Jason Kidd couldn't manufacture enough offense to keep up. The Lakers swept them in 4 games. Shaq won his 3rd consecutive finals most valuable player, averaging 36 points and 12 rebounds. 3 championships in 3 years. Only the Celtics and Jordan's Bulls had accomplished that feat. Yet instead of celebrating, the locker room felt like a ticking time bomb. Kobe wanted more recognition. Shaq wanted more effort from Kobe on defense. Phil Jackson was exhausted trying to manage their egos. The 2003 season proved the end was near. San Antonio had built something special around Tim Duncan. The Spurs were younger, hungrier, and more cohesive than the aging Lakers. When they met in the playoffs, San Antonio dismantled Los Angeles in 6 games. Shaq averaged 23 and 15, but his body was breaking down. Kobe put up 32 points per game, but he was forcing shots and trying to prove he didn't need Shaq. The chemistry that once made them unstoppable had completely evaporated. Then came 2004, and the Lakers made one final push. They signed Karl Malone and Gary Payton, forming what looked like an unbeatable super team on paper, 4 future Hall of Famers in their starting lineup. The league didn't stand a chance, except everything was broken. Malone got hurt. Kobe was dealing with legal issues in Colorado. Shaq and Kobe weren't speaking. Phil Jackson was writing a book calling Kobe Uncoachable. The Lakers still made the finals because talent alone carried them past Minnesota. But when they faced Detroit, all the dysfunction came crashing down. The Pistons had no superstar, just 5 guys who played as a cohesive team, both on offense and defense. They embarrassed the Lakers, winning in 5 games. Kobe shot 38% from the field and 17% from 3 in the series. He was forcing everything, trying to prove he could win Finals Most Valuable Player without Shaq. It backfired spectacularly. After that loss, the partnership was finished. The Lakers had to choose between their aging but proven champion and their young, difficult superstar. They chose Kobe. Shaq got traded to Miami, and the dynasty officially ended. Looking back, the numbers tell an incredible story. In 8 seasons together, Shaq and Kobe made the playoffs every single year. They reached 4 finals and won 3 championships. Their combined 52.3 points per game over that span ranks among the highest for any duo in history. Shaq went 336 to 125 with Kobe, a winning percentage that most franchises would kill for across an entire decade. But the what if haunts everyone who watched them. Doc Rivers called their breakup the biggest travesty in sports, believing they should have won at least 5 championships together. He wasn't wrong. They were in their prime when everything fell apart. Shaq was still dominant. Kobe was entering his peak years. The Lakers had the infrastructure, the coach, and the talent to keep winning. Instead, ego destroyed what could have been the greatest dynasty in modern NBA history. Some argue they're still the best duo ever, better even than Jordan and Pippen. The argument has merit. Jordan and Pippen won 6 championships, but they also had better supporting casts and a more stable organization. Shaq and Kobe won 3 straight while barely tolerating each other. Imagine what they could have accomplished if they actually worked together instead of against each other. The 2001 playoffs remain the gold standard for duo dominance. That 15-1 record, demolishing every elite team in their path, showcased basketball played at a level few partnerships have ever reached. Shaq was an unstoppable force in the paint. Kobe was an unguardable scorer on the perimeter. Together, they created problems no defense could solve. Their complementary skills made them special. Shaq's physical dominance forced double teams that freed Kobe. Kobe's shooting range pulled defenders away from the paint, giving Shaq room to operate. When both were engaged, locked in, and functioning as actual teammates, they were genuinely unbeatable. The tragedy is how rarely that happened. Even during the championship years, they were fighting. After games they won by 20 points, they'd argue about who deserved more credit. The dysfunction was always there, bubbling beneath the surface, waiting to explode. And eventually, it did. The legacy they left is complicated. 3 championships and 4 finals appearances in 8 years is remarkable. Only legendary duos have accomplished that. But the lingering question of what could have been overshadows everything. 5 championships seemed inevitable if they just figured out how to coexist. 6 wasn't out of the question. They had the talent, the coach, and the opportunity. What they didn't have was the maturity to put winning above individual glory. That's what separates great duos from legendary ones. Jordan and Pippen had their conflicts, but they always united when it mattered. Magic and Kareem checked their egos for the good of the team. Shaq and Kobe never learned that lesson until it was too late. Now, decades after, they both have reconciled. Shaq admitted he was immature and lazy. Kobe acknowledged that he should have been a better teammate. They finally understood what they had. But understanding doesn't change history. The Shaq and Kobe era will always be remembered as the dynasty that was so dominant yet short-lived, the partnership that self-destructed at its peak, and the biggest what-if in modern basketball. The numbers don't lie. 3 straight championships, 4 finals appearances, a 336-125 record together. Yet somehow, the greatest tragedy in basketball isn't what they accomplished. It's what they left on the table. 2 of the most talented players ever to touch a basketball, destroying a dynasty because neither could swallow their pride. That's the real story of Shaq and Kobe, not just the dominance, but how great could they have truly been